we begin with a whiteboard and a name. Just an idea, a concept for the volcanic doggo. Today we will be making Entei out of bike chains. Yes, you heard me, we are making Entei out of bike chains. It's a little funky, a little unique, and takes a lot of planning. So I always start out with a little sketchy sketch to get my idea down before I actually start. Each of the dashes represents a different bike chain link, and together we will end up creating our full sculpture. Keep in mind that this part is a little more abstract. The sculpture itself is quite abstract in itself, but don't hold it too closely to our sketches here because things are definitely bound to change. However, this does at least get us started in the right mindset for what is to come, with a front, side, and top view along with the mane and the legs. Now with our sketches all laid out, it's time to turn these dashes into links and add our bike chains. With the chains applied, the first step is going to be adding a small tack between each of the links so that they hold their shape before we put them together. We started on the left with the main body, moved our way to the right for the legs, our top for the spikes, and then on the left we have our head pieces. Trailing off the body, we have the main centerpiece for Entei's cloud-like mane. Next up, we start putting the pieces together, starting with the main body and adding the front leg and the back leg. To finish up the legs, we have an additional 6 link that we add onto the outside, which just gives Entei a little extra beef. We do the same thing with the other side and put him off to the top while we decide what type of spikes we want to use for his sides. I said side a lot of times in there. On the note of sides, I couldn't decide what side I wanted to use, so I put the concept off to the side while I finished the mane. I tacked together a few different size links, some 2s, 4s, 3s, and 6s to finish off the cloud-like mane that trails off of Entei's back. I tried to make these pieces different shapes and size so that it didn't have too much uniformity and had a little bit more of a flow-like appearance to them. Once the cloud portion of the mane was done, I went on to doing the head, adding a 3 link onto the side and then a 1 link onto the front, which would end up being the teeth. We also decided to finish up the rest of the mane by adding a couple 4 links onto the side. This happens on both sides to finish up the head and the front portion of Entei's body. Next, we add a 6 link onto the top and a small little 4 link onto the front, which I do end up changing into a 5 link. After finally deciding what spikes I wanted to use, we can move into the final phase of the raw build, which is the cleaning phase, where I use a Dremel to go over all of the welds and smooth them out just a little bit, as well as clean off any other debris that had accumulated during the welding process. And that brings us to our final raw chain portion for Entei. Again, all of these are raw, recycled bike chains that I have welded together to create our Entei here, and I just wanted to give a quick little scope look through here before we add the paint, which will really bring the final bits together. If you've been enjoying this build so far, or if you just think the concept is cool, or if you just like Entei, make sure to show me by dropping a like on the video. We now move into the final phase, the paint. And most of this is pretty boring, so we're gonna just learn some things about Entei while I slowly paint him. After looking up some interesting facts about Entei, I do not understand how the world is not under constant fire. Because, get this, Entei, the legendary fire-type Pokemon, is said to have been born whenever a new volcano appears. There are quite a few volcanoes. Now, according to Pokemon lore, it also has the ability to make volcanoes erupt just by roaring. So, if this Entei is having a rough day, volcanoes are gonna be exploding everywhere. Now, there are multiple volcanoes, which means that there are probably multiple Entei. And that means that at least one Entei is probably roaring at some point for some reason, which means volcanoes should just be erupting pretty much all the time. So, how Johto region is not just under constant fire, and yeah, I don't know. But on a different note, and this just hit me, what I really want to know is who's faster, Entei or Arcanine? Let me know down in the comments which one you think would win in a race across Johto. Because when you break it down, they really have fairly similar builds, and Arcanine was originally supposed to be a legendary, I believe, and Entei is a legendary, but again, they're both based on similar animals, similar builds, and I'm pretty sure that they would be pretty competitive in a race against each other. Now that I've wasted a little bit of time here, let's circle back to our Entei and how the paint process is going. As you can see, we are now adding the cloud-like mane onto the back of Entei, and if this has a better name, please let me know because that's the best thing I can think of it. We've painted his spikes, feet, and front plate all gray. His body is brown. We've got yellow on the crown of his head, red on the sides, and the finishing details here are going to be the lighter brown that makes up the front of the head and the chest. Which brings us to our final painted form for our bike chain Entei. And again, if you have not liked the video yet, now would be a fantastic time to do so if you think this build turned out pretty good. Also, feel free to let me know in the comments which Pokemon you would like to see next. This is the final piece out of the legendary dog trio, so if you have not seen the other ones, I've got those over on the channel as well. It was also a celebratory video for hitting 1,500 subscribers on YouTube, so for everyone that is subscribed, thank you. For everyone that's not subscribed, check out the channel. I got a whole lot more videos like this. Of course, I have to give a huge thank you to all of our Ko-Fi members. Your support really means the world to me and helps out the channel. And for everyone else, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that because we got a lot more coming.